Have you ever looked in the mirror and noticed how your stomach might stick out a little bit or your bum sticks out behind? And you can see how the pelvis seems to be pointing down. And this is what we call the anterior pelvic tilt. And if you type that into Google, you'll find lots of ideas around stretching your hip flexors or strengthening your abdominals or strengthening your glutes or even working on tucking under all day. And these very, very rarely provide the magical fix that they offer. Very often, this is not the whole story. So let's be clear here, anterior pelvic tilt is not a diagnosis. In fact, there are many people walking around with anterior pelvic tilt in their pelvis who have no pain, no limitations, no problems whatsoever. However, where it becomes more of an issue is if the pelvis only has one option and it becomes anterior pelvic tilt, but it's unable to move in any other direction. Bear in mind, there are multiple movements available at the pelvis, including posterior pelvic tilt, rotation, lateral tilt. This is possible on both sides and even independent of each other. So if we lose movement options and we just have one strategy, we can develop pressure in areas either side of this one consistent strategy. So the question is not, do I have an anterior pelvic tilt? It's, can my pelvis move in multiple directions and can I choose what direction my pelvis moves in? One way we can assess this is simply to see what movement is available in both standing and in sitting. In standing, if you place one hand at the front and one hand at the back of the pelvis, go into an anterior pelvic tilt and then see what's it like to go into a posterior pelvic tilt. If that movement just doesn't feel like it's available, or it's only available with a lot of effort and shunting, then that answers one part of our question. Next, can you rotate just the pelvis one way, forwards and backwards? The other side will move in the opposite directions. Can you move the pelvis down on one side and up on the other? I mean, we can repeat this in sitting. Can you move backwards, forwards, in rotation, and in lateral tilt? See what you find. Is one direction easier than another? Is it really noticeably different on one side compared to the other? Let me know what you find. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is how we can get your pelvis moving in all these different directions. But what's important is how we move. So it's not about forcing range. It's not about making the pelvis move. It's about allowing the pelvis and exploring if there are specific directions that are more challenging. So we're going to work through all directions. I find it easier in sitting, and I think these balls are great because they allow us a little bit more room for maneuver. So we're going to start with our anterior posterior. One hand on the front of the pelvis, one hand on the back of the pelvis. Your feet are going to find a nice flat, comfortable position on the floor, and you're going to get this sense that the pelvis sinks down onto the ball. So I'm not holding with my hip flexors or I'm gripping with my toes. I am simply allowing my body to rest on the ball, one direction and the other. Paying particular attention to, am I holding my breath? Do I have any tension in my upper body? So this is the forwards and backwards. We're going to work through 6 repetitions each direction, so that's 12 in total, and then move on to the next direction, which is rotation, where we're working on pelvic rotation now. So if one knee slides forward and one knee slides back, you can kind of see in the mirror, this is going backwards and this is going forwards, and then I reverse it. And again, 6 repetitions on each side, 12 in total. Just watching for the hip wanting to come up. It doesn't quite like the movement. We don't force it. We go as far as what comes easy. Lateral pelvic tilting. This is where one side of the pelvis lowers down and one side raises up. I had a patient describe this as a pelvic seesaw, and I thought that was quite a nice image. So again, dropping down, 6 on this side, 6 on that side. Then I'll go back to the beginning and I'll work through 6 again. What you notice as you do more, it does start to get easier. Each direction facilitates more movement in the other direction. The second movement is a bridge, but this is where I think a lot of people get it a little bit mixed up about what the intention of the movement is. So head supported, relaxed upper body. There's a common thing I see is where people are bridging and they're using the neck to try and provide some posterior chain support and activation. We're looking for this specific segmental movement in the pelvis. So we've worked on our pelvic movement on the ball. Now we're going to extend the posterior pelvic tilt until the tailbone just comes off the floor slightly. Now this is where I see a lot of people who think the intention is to go as high as they possibly can, and they shunt the hips up using the hamstrings and the lower back. Really what we're looking for is this sense of roll, length through the front of the body, and there's an engagement with the feet, and the feet join in with the hips then, and what I am really working on is length through the back of the body. So if I have to drop down lower and go a little further with the rotation, that is more advantageous than going higher but losing the alignment of rotation between the hip, the pelvis and the lumbar spine. So again, I'm going to do 12 repetitions here, only going to as high as what is easily available in posterior rotation. On the way back down, I land with the top part first and I find that rolling movement through the spine. So I set myself up with the ball towards the lower part of my back, my feet away from the ball, relaxed and grounded. I now know all the different directions I can move my pelvis in. So forwards, backwards, side to side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to find the middle of all those positions and take my pelvis straight down towards the floor. So this is a nice and smooth movement. I'm not straining, I'm not thinking about how low to take my squat. The load is higher, but we have this sense now of where the pelvis is, and we're choosing to take it straight down towards the floor. And the hips bend to absorb the force. And this pelvic position invites a symmetrical force now around the pelvis, which recruits the muscles at the back, the front, the sides equally. Now, as the load is higher, I start with 4 or 5 repetitions, take a break, and I'll work through at least 3 sets. Just get the sense of where I am, side to side, up and down, backwards, forwards. Find that middle point, and then take the pelvis straight down towards the floor. So here's the part that most videos leave out. And that's the process that we employ to make this type of thing stick. So the exercises are great, and those movements will help you move your pelvis in new ways and develop more new strategies. However, for the rest of the time, what's really important is you develop an awareness of where your pelvis sits. So you'll notice if you are someone that sits on one side of the pelvis all day, then gets into the car, drives home, and you're still sitting on that side of the pelvis, it's really, really difficult then for your body to be aware of anything different. So change your position, move your pelvis in new ways, different directions, and see what that shows up for you. Make sure that you do the self-check before and after the exercises, just to see what it shows up for you. And then let me know if there was one particular movement in one particular direction on one side that was easier or harder. Or did something surprise you? I've had people tell me that they didn't realize that they sat on one side of the pelvis all day. That kind of new information can be groundbreaking. If you'd like to see more videos about how to understand your body and all these options that we have for how we can move, then please consider subscribing, and I'll see you here next time.